Welcome, welcome, Resilience family. Hey,
Hello, hello, hello.
it is March, guys. And we're still celebrating Women's History Month. And guys, I'm like elated because we got a awesome female pilot here joining us. And I don't know, I'm stoked. I am like got chills all over me, just elated. So I want to welcome Miss June. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Miss June! If for those who are not understanding, because this is National Women's Month, we're celebrating. And we're celebrating women who have a prominent, authoritative position that, at one point males were, prevailing. But women have stepped in, and just because you can do it and you're a man, don't mean that we can't do it.
Right.
And let me pause real fast and do some corrections. It's Mrs. She is married. She has a wonderful husband, and it's Captain. So please forgive me, people. It's Captain, okay, guys? Yes.
And is it Liston?
Yes.
Oh, I said it right. Yes. So welcome her in, show her some love, and give
Thank
her a round
you
of
so
applause
much.
and some snaps to all those out there.
Thank you so much.
Captain June Liston.
So, just to begin, just tell us a little bit about you, where you would like to begin your story.
I started flying when I was 17 years old.
Wow.
My family was shocked. A friend of mine in high school's dad flew for American, and they had a little airplane, little 4-seat airplane. And my friend in high school was going for a ride, and they said, come along. And they said, let's let June try.
Wow.
So they put me in the front seat. The son was a pilot, so he was flying. And they said, let's let June try. So they put me in the front seat, and I loved it. I just loved it. I thought I was going to be a veterinarian, and that's where I was aiming. I've always loved animals. And I had worked for my large animal vet when I was a kid, my junior year. And that was another industry where there weren't a whole lot of women. And I don't think he really wanted there to be, because he wasn't really encouraging about it. And I was a little bit crestfallen, thinking, well, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm going to keep studying. Yeah. Then when I flew, I really didn't think the airlines were on my horizon, because there weren't female airline pilots back then. Like 1976.
Wow.
And I thought, well, I'll get in the aviation industry so I can make enough money to rent an airplane and go fly.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, it's like I was 19, and I answered a job in the San Francisco Chronicle want ads for a flight instructor in Oakland.
Wow.
And they hired me, and it was like, whoa, this is getting real.
Wow.
I got my ratings. I had like $4,000 saved up for college, and my parents weren't letting me touch it. And I went to my dad, and my parents were split up. And I went to my dad, and I said, should I use this money to learn to fly? And he was like, well, what happened to vet school? And da-da-da-da-da. I said, well, I don't know. I have questions. And he says, well, all right. And I had no idea what I was getting into, but it did help me pay for a lot of my initial training. It was a lot cheaper back then. An airplane was like $14 an hour, and instructor was $12. I think the airplane now is like 170, and the instructor might make 20. The wages haven't, well, the lower end wages haven't gone up. The airlines have, but and I was working at Macy's, going to college and working at Macy's and getting flying lessons. So anyway, I started teaching when I was 19 out of Oakland.
Wow.
And did that for a few years. And then I flew charter and canceled checks, which isn't even a job anymore. It's where the bank would send the checks to San Francisco to get processed.
Yeah.
And then they'd send them the processed checks that we used to get in the mail back. I flew corporate. I flew our ambulance. I flew charter.
Wow.
there weren't these regional airlines like there are now. It's really
Yeah.
the big step that,
Okay.
most people get into aviation, they get their time, they get on with a regional carrier, and then they make their jump to the airlines now. And there's the airlines have aviation academies now, which they didn't used to have
Wow.
because we're so short of pilots.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, it's expensive to learn to fly now. So these, like United has Aviate. I fly for United, and we have
Yes.
Aviate in Phoenix, Goodyear,
Mm-hmm.
and they're promoting getting women and minorities in particular to learn to fly.
Wow.
So there's scholarships and things like that, which is awesome because there was nothing
Right.
like that back in the day.
Wow.
I went through my career. I was always the first or the only.
Mhm.
I
Well,
have to say, I
good.
was
Set that
pretty,
precedent.
yeah, I was pretty lucky. I dealt with nice people. I mean, I know there's not nice people out there, but
Huh.
I think maybe where I was working in the Bay Area, uh,
Mhm.
it's a little more open to new
Yeah.
things. It was a new thing back then.
Right.
And as
Right.
long as I always felt like I had to know my job like 200%. If a guy was
Of
doing it
course.
at 80, I had to do it at 180.
Of course.
Um,
Right.
because I was scrutinized and I could
Mm.
not know my stuff. And I think that's pretty much still the way it is. We
Mhm.
have a lot more women in aviation now,
Yes.
minorities, and
Mhm.
I don't know if all of them realize it, but we're still under a microscope.
Yes.
Still under a microscope.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just took my last check ride with United Airlines because I turned 65 in June.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Like
you
35
Ooh,
years gone by.
I know, right? Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing, though. 35 years.
Yeah.
And with one company. Sorry, because I'm a company hopper.
Yeah. Well, with
Yeah.
airlines, everything is seniority. So you
Okay.
go with one,
Okay. Yes.
and you hope you've picked right, because if you go from one airline to the other airline, you go to the bottom of the list.
That part. Yeah.
And
So
that's
good.
And
So
what's kind of nice about the airlines is it is seniority based. It's not who you know.
yeah.
And you pass you bid a position that comes open. If your seniority can hold it,
Mhm.
then you train for it, you pass your check rides, and you get to do
Wow.
it.
Wow. So they still be testing you guys.
Every
Wow.
9 months at
That's
United we get tested
awesome.
every 9
Okay.
months.
I guess that's good because it keeps you fresh and up to date on whatever
Yeah.
possible changes, if any, or
Oh,
updates
yeah.
or rules or whatever.
Wow.
Being that you went from one, year to another in the 35 years, what is the most prominent thing that you've noticed within, besides the women are starting to come in and like the floodgates, what other aspects about flying that you've noticed that has changed?
Our applicants are a lot younger now. We
Oh,
used to see 30 to 45-year-olds. Now we're seeing 23-year-olds, 25-year-olds.
Wow.
There is a pilot shortage. Because
Mm.
it's so expensive to learn to fly on your own now. I mean, I certainly couldn't have afforded it if it was the prices it is now. And
Right.
the military is not putting out as many pilots as they used to.
Oh,
They're
wow.
training a lot of drone pilots and things now.
That
Um,
technology.
with the
Hmm.
training technology. Um,
Wow.
we're still at United. United has the highest percentage of women of any airline in the United States, and we're at 7%. And
Wow.
that's 7% of 15,000 something.
Right.
And
Wow.
the last estimate I heard was about 200 are captains.
Wow.
So it's
Wow.
we
Right. You
still got a
still
ways to go.
trying to climb to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Trying to
That
keep it. Mm.
Yeah.
So my mind is stuck at when you said you started flying at 17 and kind of got your first job, at 19. I'm stuck at how good the discipline you was. I'm sorry. I
Right.
give kudos to your parents, because June, I didn't share this part with you, but I had my first child when I was 18. my mind kind of wasn't focused on the career or what was my world going to be like,
Yeah.
as an adult, even though my mom made me go to college.
Yeah.
But I don't know, my focus just wasn't there. I wasn't focused enough. I wasn't disciplined enough. 2 years
Right.
later, I went on to
You're
actually
focused on being a parent.
exact. That was my thing now because
Yeah.
I done tripped my way up into it.
Yeah.
2 years later, had another child, and then eventually I did get married, and had 2 more children. But I'm just stuck on pause there because I'm like, wow, that is amazing. No, like I applaud that.
Right. To
Yeah.
stay committed and dedicated, and
Yeah.
because we don't see the dedication and commitment and service, because I can tell you have great customer service. You show friendly, you have a beautiful face. So it's like friendly and warming and welcoming. And you don't see that really often in any industry at this point, and especially in the airport.
Yeah, that's
It's an
seriously
interesting environment working in the airport, let me tell you.
it is. So
I had a
guys, just
lady-
real fast. I
Yeah.
met June taking a flight. That's how I met her.
That's right.
She eventually got on the end tail of the plane and sat right in the middle. And I was like, oh my God. I said, Lord, I got to open my mouth, right? I said, it's a female pilot sitting next to me. What? And
We chatted the whole way.
we did. She is so gracious, so humble, guys. Seriously, like Britt said, I don't come across that a lot. We don't come across that a lot. Seriously,
Yeah.
even
You don't.
with stature. No, honestly.
And then she carries the light. You can see the light within her. So with that, now I do have to ask on a spiritual aspect, how did you maintain your faith throughout because I know as a woman, you done went through the discrimination, the trials, the errors, the whatever, because pilot world is supposedly a man's world, whatever. No discrediting and no disrespect, but how did you maintain your faith knowing, with all that trial with people and men being predominantly?
When I walked into operations the first day in Chicago at United, I started in Chicago with them.
Oh, wow.
I felt like I was walking into the men's room. Everyone turned around because I was the only woman in there, and I was 29, and it was like, wow, who's the girl, but like I said, I was lucky in that, and I don't know if it's the way I project myself, but everybody was pretty nice. I mean, the people that I dealt with, there was a handful of them that I didn't like flying with. Nobody liked flying with them. They were just jerks in general, but
wow.
So my faith was never really rocked. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I don't, they have to prove me wrong, prove that they're not going to be a good person to me. I give them the floor to be a good person. So in that respect, I really did have a good experience through pretty much most of my career. Like I said, the jerks that I dealt with were jerks to everybody. I faced discrimination a couple of times. Once I was trying to apply actually with the California Forestry Service to be a fire pilot. Oops.
Wow.
I lost you guys.
There
we are.
Technical difficulty. It is okay. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
I can see you guys now, and I can see me. So anyway, they said no, I didn't have the time, and a friend of mine who was sitting at the next desk, who had like half the time I did, called up the same thing, and they were like, oh yeah, we'll send a resume, blah 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 blah. I was like, okay, they don't want me. There was another builder in California that was advertising for a jet pilot, which was an awesome job. And I went and interviewed with the chief pilot, and then they told me that, if you can get so-and-so, we have to talk to, I forget what his name was, some builder in the San Joaquin Valley. We have to talk to Mr. So-and-so and see how he feels. We want you 100%, you've got everything we want. And they called me and said, he won't hire a woman. And it was kind of like, where do I go with that? Do I,
Right.
it's like, do I want to work there when they don't want me, or do I just keep pushing and go somewhere else where I am welcomed and my qualities are welcomed? And I think probably companies now are probably a little more hesitant to do something like that and say something like that to an applicant.
Yes.
But back then, not so much. I mean, I was, like I said, the first or the only.
Right.
My parents were, my dad, when I first said, this is what I want to do for a living after I grabbed my college money and started putting it towards ratings. And I was flight instructing and making nothing, Yeah. And he said, when are you going to stop this nonsense and get a real job? So, but he supported me. He never said no. He helped me. I got a loan for my airline transport rating and my higher end flight instructor ratings, like multi-engine flight instructor and instrument flight instructor. I had to take a loan, so he co-signed. And then when I got to United, I handed him his passes and I said, I guess I got a real job. It took me 12 years to get there.
Little perks.
but it worked, yeah. And I think what kept me going in it was I loved doing it. I mean, I would have done it for a hobby if I could have afforded to do it as a hobby.
Wow.
If I could afford, to stay home and not work. What's that like? Work since I was 16, doing something,
Understood.
But,
so when you see
trophy wife,
yes, I understand.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to the young people that have entered into the world of aviation?
Don't give up. Give it 110%. If you love doing it, like what everybody has always said, if you love doing what you do for a living, you will never work a day in your life.
That's
and
good.
Granted, my job is work sometimes. I'm flying international long haul. And I mean, I just did a Hong Kong trip that was 15 hours one way and 13 hours coming back. And you're always kind of on the backside of the clock. You're tired a lot. But I got to see Hong Kong. My crew, we went out, we went shopping, we went out to dinner, we had dumplings, we rode a ferry, we saw the skyline. You can make it really fun. Keep pushing for it because it is a great job. If you want to do it, the reward is at the end. It pays well now. The airlines realize they need to pay people well enough that they'll attract people to the job. That's part of the reason there's a pilot shortage. Is people don't want to put the money into training when there's not that much reward at the other end. But now it's a really good paying job.
Right.
And you can bid your time off. You get good vacations. There's good benefits. I retire at the end of June, and I've already been hired by another company to fly essential air service routes and on-demand charter and mentor first officers, co-pilots, so that they can flow into the regional airline of that airline. It's SkyWest.
Wow.
Hired by. So they're opening a new division, and they're focusing on hiring retiring airline pilots to mentor these young pilots on these small routes and these, in a small jet, which is challenging. And then they're going to use them to flow up into the main regional carrier, SkyWest Airlines, which they're the regional carrier for United and Delta and Alaska and American. So, and then from there, they'll go to the airlines. So to the big airlines, the majors.
Yeah.
So I would love to know, what are you mentioned Hong Kong, so it brought up a question. What are your favorite 3 places that you've traveled to that you've enjoyed?
Oh, there are a lot, but my favorites are Auckland, New Zealand. I love New Zealand. I love the people. I love the place. I love the way of life. It's just slow and there's walking paths and little kids are out playing.
The old way.
It's
nostalgic.
Nice. It's a different way of life. I love Taipei. I love the people. They're very kind. they've embraced democracy. I worry so much for Taiwan because China is sitting there kind of
Yeah.
eyeing them as their next takeover. And these people just,
Mm.
I mean, it's a small country, it's an island, and it's beautiful. But I think the best part is the people. I mean, I'll, you know, leave my co-pilots, you know, somewhere at night, you know, at a restaurant or something, and I'll say, I'm going back, I'm tired. And I'll walk back to the hotel in the middle, you know, late at night by myself, and somebody will come up to me and say, Mama, you know where you're going? And I'll say, yes, you know. And they like to
Sweet.
practice their English on you. So it's like, I
Huh.
mean, I always try to learn a few words, you know, like hello, goodbye, please, thank you, yes, no, for the places I'm going, just as a courtesy. I mean,
Yeah.
even Chinese, I think Korean is the hardest, but um, they're just kind people. I love Zurich, Switzerland. I just started
Oh,
there
yes.
last year. It's beautiful there. Nice people. It's a bunch of different cultures all in the same place. So it's really
Wow.
nice.
Yes.
I could go on and on.
Wow.
I
Big
think
melting
what I'm
pot.
going to, my takeaway that I'm going to tell people when I retire is get out and go places. Get out of here. Go
Yes.
somewhere where people don't look like you.
Yes.
Get to
Hello.
know them and
Yes.
appreciate what they have to give, because that's been like the
Wow.
major gift from my job
That
is
is
meeting the world's people.
awesome. That's awesome. I love that takeaway. I have a cousin that actually flies. And of course I had to share with him that I was interviewing I was like, I'm interviewing a female captain, honey. He was like, what? He was like, what's her name? I actually showed him to you. He was like, oh, I crossed paths with her for a little bit. He was like, I don't know her, Nora, but I've seen her before. I was like, what? I said, seriously? And when he made it, into the flight industry, I was just so proud of him.
Yeah.
Because like you're saying, minorities, period, even though he's a
Yeah.
man, he's a black man.
Yeah.
And he's been flying for a while, but like him, he came from military and
Yeah.
crossed over. But he flies privately. And he told me the same thing that you said. He was like, cuz you just have to go and travel. He was like, you need
Yeah.
to see the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Wow.
People need to meet the world's people
Yes, they
and
do.
realize how similar we are and
Very,
how our goals are the same and our wants and needs are the same.
very
Yes.
much. Very much.
People get very insulated here.
Oh,
It's
totally.
a big, it's a
Sheltered.
big country full of little microcosms, and they just stay there
Mhm.
and really are missing the big picture.
Right.
So, what makes you resilient, Captain Liston?
Resilient. What makes, I think it was my mom.
Ah,
My mom's advice to me, because my mom and dad split up, so she was a single mom for a while. My dad was in the picture and
Mhm.
helping, but he was gone.
Yeah.
And he said, you make sure you can take care of yourself.
Mm.
And I really took that to heart. It was like, I got lucky that what I picked was a good career and a good provider.
Yeah.
But that's that's been my mantra, and make sure I can take care of myself and my family. And my husband is older than me. I think you might have met him. He's 17 years older than me. I joke about being the trophy wife, but
There you
we
go.
are both pilots. And he doesn't look his age, doesn't act his age. But he's had health problems and stuff, and we lost our pension at United when they went in bankruptcy in early 2000 after 9/11. So
Wow.
it's like I picked up the torch and went with it.
Yeah, totally.
And I guess the piece of my mom that's in me, I guess, is my resilience. I remember how she made it with a lot less than what I've got now.
Mhm.
And it kept me going.
Mhm.
Kept me going. And I had her till she was 95.
Oh, wow. That's a
Yes.
lot.
I had her living with me for the last 15 years of her life. And,
Wow.
And it was a treasure. It was really a treasure.
Yes, most definitely. That's a blessing.
Yeah.
Total blessing. Wow. So I'm gonna take a pause real fast because we really lost your picture. Like we can't see you. I know you say
No,
you can see us, but
I
Mhm.
we
can see
can't
you
see
and I can
you.
see me.
Interesting. I don't
That's
know.
weird. Let me see if
It's
something
this
on.
technology thing that's happening. I just
Yes,
like us
funny.
still talking because we're a podcast and people are listening, and
Yeah.
I'm glad they're tuning in. Thank you,
Yes.
family.
Very
Beautiful
good.
with our family.
Very good.
Yes, yes. Um, that, gosh, that is just, oh, your story is just amazing.
It
Like,
is.
I'm
It
really
is.
kind of like lost for words because I don't know if you know it or not, but your life is just a blessing. It
It
is
is.
a testimony for these little girls out here, young adults,
Yeah.
all women out here. Seriously.
Have
Um,
you had a, would you say that you've had, besides Dawn, would you say
mhm.
that you've had a lot of women to approach you in appreciation to see a woman in a position that you
Absolutely.
were? Oh, yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Especially when I'm on the airline.
Yes.
Um, you know,
Mm.
they love it. They love
That's
it.
a huge impact. Um, to know that, even though we're considered at the totem pole or whatever, and I'm not trying to highlight on that, it's just to override the obstacle of what we're told we can't do,
Mhm,
Yeah.
and to
mhm.
see it and
Right.
it prosper and it still is growing. That's a blessing to witness that.
Yeah.
That's a blessing. That's a huge blessing.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we,
I did the Afghan airlift. I don't know if you were aware of that when we were bringing Afghan refugees over to the United States
Oh,
in
wow.
2021.
Mhm.
And I made it a point to have my hat on and my jacket on and be at the door. We picked them up in Germany at Ramstein Air Force Base and flew them into Dulles, Washington, D.C.
Wow.
for refugee resettlement. And I made sure there were so many little kids and little girls. And I wanted to make sure that they knew, and they smiled, and I was giving them wings, and we had little
Oh,
teddy
wow.
bears for them and stuff. So I hope that did something,
Oh,
to
yes.
help
Yeah.
them into their American dream. And some of them didn't even know where they were going. They were getting on
Mhm.
another airplane, and this one man said, "Where are we?" He was like broken. He was dressed like Pashtun clothes, the puffy hat and
Mhm.
robes, and he said, "Where are we going?" And I said, "Washington, D.C., the United States." And he said, "Oh, thank God." It was just,
Wow.
you could see him just exhale. And
Wow.
it was, yeah, it
Wow.
felt really good to mainly, inspire these people that were
Yes.
hurt and been
Totally.
through what none of us can hardly imagine. I mean, it was
mm,
just something. It was really something.
wow.
Wow.
So
Oh,
So
when
that was
you
kind of the cool thing that I got to do, was to greet these people and give them some
right.
comfort.
Yes, yes, and you have that's what I see. Like that, like I said earlier, you have this glow of warmth and embrace that does make a person want to confess. For people,
I'm a hugger. What can I say?
Okay, yes, like I feel that since that you're going to be retiring soon, from what I understand.
mhm.
What would be your next projects after you retire? I know you mentioned about doing some other ventures with other flying, but what other projects will you be working on?
Well, I do animal rescue on the side. I fly pets, little small pets, a lot of special needs pets in cabin.
Mm.
I use my passes, and so they don't have to go in the cargo hold, because some of them are pretty scared, or
Yeah.
they might be blind, or they might have 3 legs, or they might have
Wow.
Oh,
cerebellar hypoplasia, which is kind of like cerebral palsy. Lots of kitties.
yeah.
So I
Mhm.
try to move them around. I get them homes and rescue. So I'll probably do more of that than I've had time for in the last couple of years
Yeah.
since I've been flying the wide body stuff. I used to do it a lot more when I was not on the 777.
Yeah.
Now I come
Wow.
home and I go, oh, need to rest.
Yes.
Usually
Wow.
sleep. That's why I asked, is this a video conference, or I'll be in my PJs? But I get dressed.
Please.
um,
Well,
but because because I went right from Hong Kong to my 2-day check ride. It was like, I had
Wow.
trouble staying up the first day.
Wow.
But,
Thank you.
oh, my pleasure.
Yes.
But I'll do more of that. Spend more time with my friends, and I have a horse that I ride, so I'll spend some time with him.
Oh, that's gonna be nice.
Yeah. So
we have to get together for dinner too, ma'am.
we
So,
do.
yeah.
That would be a
Look.
lot of fun. That would be a lot of
We have
fun.
to put it on the agenda.
That's right.
Look, just have them fly my food out, and I'll sit in on them. I'll be on video chat.
There you go.
Oh man,
Wow.
this is a true enlightenment to finally sit down with a woman of her caliber and the position. Yeah, this is an honor. It really is. It's an honor.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to be here. It was really sweet of you guys to ask me.
Oh, most definitely. And just like a book, I need you to write a book. We need a life story of June.
Okay.
Just saying.
I can see the audio now. I can see the autobiography
about
now.
it.
And if you need somebody to read it for you, the Kindle audio, I got you.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. I think that's in your future too, Captain.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. But thank you so much for sharing a little of your world with us. Because some people, they don't want to, and I am totally grateful. The world is grateful because they will hear this. This is going to be out here probably past all of us on this earth.
Out in cyberspace.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So much they're doing with this technology. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But truly, I thank you for your time. This is very humbling. Very
my
just
pleasure.
rewarding.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Yes.
It was a fun trip to Long Beach that day.
It was. It really was. It was. I think the flight went like that. I was just oh my God, this was delightful. I was just like a kid in a candy store. Like, seriously.
Wish I were there. Wish I were there.
I so appreciate you. So appreciate you. Thank you so much. But yes, thank you for joining us. I'm gonna let you get your rest, ma'am.
Okay.
But again, just thank you. Resilience family, as we always say, stay strong, stay well, and always, always, always be resilient. Thank you to Captain Liston. Truly appreciate you. Ladies out there, you can do this too. All right. Keep pushing, keep going. Don't give up.
Nothing's impossible. You know what you can do. We all have that resilience within us. You just have to learn to activate it and keep steadily. Yes, you will break down. Yes, you will have moments of cry, moments of pain, but don't stay there. Stay resilient.
Yes. Have a good one, guys.
Bye-bye.